All right, everyone. Today I wanted to share with you guys a list of important things that you want to do right after you get to 1100 item level in Lost Ark. And 1100 is going to be kind of like the entry point into Tier 3, but a lot of Tier 3 content isn't actually going to unlock until you go from 1100 to 1300, which is why I want to start off the list here with my first tip being on the day that you think you're actually going to end up crossing over to 1100 item level, I highly recommend that you actually save your 2 Chaos Dungeon runs and don't actually end up doing your final Tier 2 Chaos Dungeon runs, but end up saving them and then cross over into 1100 and try to do your first couple of 1100 Tier 3 Chaos Dungeon runs. And the reason why I say this is important is because a lot of stuff in Tier 3 isn't going to actually unlock until 1300, so you need to go from 1100 to 1300. And in Tier 1 and Tier 2, that wasn't really a problem because you were able to actually buy your blue Tier 1 and Tier 2 gear sets off of the auction house if you needed to, but you can't actually end up doing that in Tier 3. You have to actually end up getting your blue Chaos Dungeon gear set yourself. All these pieces are bound, and unfortunately, if you end up getting unlucky, you might not actually end up getting your full Tier 3 gear set in one day. In fact, it happened to me. It took me 3 full days to actually get all pieces of my gear. I got really unlucky, of course, but still, if you know that you're going to cross over into 1100 item level, you can save those 2 Chaos Dungeon runs that you would normally do in Tier 2 that day and get a little bit of a leg up and try to knock out a couple of your first 1100 Tier 3 runs. And that way, you know, worst case scenario, it shouldn't be too long until the next daily reset, and then you can do another couple of Chaos Dungeon runs, and then hopefully by that point, you should have your full 1100 to 1300 gear set, and you'll be able to end up working on a lot of other important things in this list here. So a little bit of a recommendation that I would give you guys, but the next thing here is we're going to actually head over to the Stronghold for something very similar to what I talked about once you got to Tier 2. You're going to want to do the exact same thing for Tier 3, and it's going to be one of your research tasks in the Stronghold that's going to be very important for any alt characters and any characters in the future that you want to play, and it's going to make it easier for you to actually improve your gear through honing by giving you an increased success chance and also lowering the amount of resources that it's going to take in order to hone your gear. So if you end up going to your lab, I'll actually show you guys. I already have it unlocked, of course. It was one of the first things that I did once I got to Tier 3. It's going to be here towards the bottom, and you can see that there's the one for Tier 1, but you're also going to want to get the same one, reduced XP, or reduced required XP for Tier 2 honing, and then this one right here, increased Tier 2 honing success rate. You can see that this is going to increase basic honing success rate by 20%, and that makes a really, really big deal. This one also reduces the amount of experience that you need in order to actually level up your gear for Tier 2 honing, which means it's going to end up taking less of those life shards. This adds up. This makes a very big difference, especially for those final upgrades, which start off at a 40% chance. Now you're going to start off with a 60% chance, so it just makes the going from Tier 2 to Tier 3 process on your alts and future characters a heck of a lot easier. So make sure that you get this done as soon as you can. Next thing here is actually something that I haven't really mentioned, but I highly recommend that you guys start working on this if you haven't already, and that is to actually unlock all of your Stronghold farming stuff. Once you end up getting to Tier 3, you're actually going to be able to start getting Tier 3 resources in your Stronghold as well. I don't necessarily recommend that you spend all of your trade skill energy in your Stronghold, but nonetheless, this is something that you still want to have unlocked, because as you get to Tier 3, also in the open world in Punica, you're going to be able to get Tier 3 trade skill nodes, and you'll also be able to get Tier 3 trade skill nodes in your Stronghold. So start working on these. This Gatherable Expansion Level 1, this is the one for Tier 2. So if you haven't gotten this one, once you got to Tier 2, this unlocks Tier 2 resources in your Stronghold, and then this Gatherable Expansion Level 2 is going to unlock your Tier 3 Gatherables, and then obviously as your Stronghold develops even further, you'll be able to get more resources in your Stronghold. So kind of a backup plan if you have extra trade skill energy, but you might as well work on starting to unlock it nonetheless right there. So next thing here, of course, is going through the Punica story. You definitely want to do that, obviously, in order to unlock all your 1300 content. But something important that I will mention about the Punica story that I want to pay close attention to is the side quests. And something that I actually noticed in the Punica side quests is they give an insane amount of silver, and they don't take very long. So I highly, highly recommend that while you guys are working on your Tier 3 main story in Punica, you actually consider picking up at least some of the side quests, if not all of them, because they give an insane amount of silver. Like going through and doing all the side quests in Punica got me something like 1 million silver, and it only takes a few extra minutes. They're all really fast. They don't take very long, and a lot of the side quests in Punica kind of follow like the same path as the main story. So in a lot of cases, you're kind of like doing two things. You're doing the main story and you're doing the side quest at the same time. So it doesn't even really end up taking all that much longer. Of course, as you end up going through the Panika main story, you're going to end up unlocking your tripods. So next thing that I will mention, very important that you end up doing this, is to set your tripod stuff on your gear. And what I mean by that is if we actually end up going to my skills and you end up going to settings, what you could do when you end up unlocking your tripods is you can end up setting 48 of these, and that way when you're getting your tier 3 gear drops, if it ends up dropping with one of the tripods that you want, it's going to actually have this looking icon right here, which will make it a lot easier to actually distinguish gear that's going to be an upgrade and gear that isn't. So basically you just go through your skills and you see what skills you're actually using for whatever class and whatever skill set you're using, which ones actually have tripod abilities that are available, and then all you have to do is just end up taking this icon right here and then go through, and you can set up to 48 of these. Make sure you click save, and you want to make sure you do that before you really start farming a lot of tier 3 gear so that you know which pieces of gear are going to have tripod upgrades. So that's the next one on the list right there. And then the final thing that I want to mention here, very, very important, and one that's super easy to forget about as you cross over from tier 2 to tier 3. And let's actually end up heading back out. Let's head back out to Vern for this one here. And I'm actually going to head out to the ocean, and that is to check your pirate ship vendor, because you can now end up buying tier 3 resources. And make sure for that, before the weekly reset, you end up getting all of those tier 3 resources like the Guardian Stones and possibly the Destruction Stones. You can end up getting a whole bunch of them. So let's actually head out over here and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But even if you decide not to actually end up using them on enhancing and honing your own gear, you can actually end up selling them on the market and end up making a massive amount of gold. So super easy to just completely forget about this as you cross over into tier 3. In fact, feel free to let me know in the comments if you guys crossed over from tier 2 to tier 3 and you completely forgot to go back and check your pirate ship vendor, but also very importantly, not just your pirate ship vendor, but also your guild vendor as well, because you can also end up getting your tier 3 materials from your guild vendor now as well. So just so you guys can see, if we end up going over here, you can see, of course, oh no, this is the wrong one. This vendor right here, you can see that you'll be able to get all of your tier 3 Guardian Stones, 50 pirate coins for 10 of these. You can get a total of 90 bundles, so 900 Guardian Stones, which is a whole big chunk right there for upgrading your gear. And they're tradable, of course, so you can end up selling them on the market. You can get the Destruction Stones as well as other tier 3 materials. Super easy to completely forget about this until the next weekly reset, and then realize that you just missed a whole week's worth of pirate ship materials. So not just this vendor, but also the guild vendor and also the Infinite Chaos vendor. Don't forget to start working on at least a little bit of Infinite Chaos. It's kind of up to your discretion how much of it you're going to do in tier 3, but at least get a couple of those cheap items before the price actually starts to spike up. So anyway, this was kind of the last thing I have on this list. I'm sure there's plenty others, but I wanted to keep this video at a reasonable time, so I'm going to end up leaving it here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this list of things that you want to do as you cross over, get to 1100 item level, and get to tier 3. So if you guys did and this video helped out, consider leaving a quick like, consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this in the future, and feel free to check out the Twitch stream at twitch.tv/salt, where I'll be streaming Lost Ark as well as other games. Thanks again, everyone. Take care, and until next time.